All right, Unit 14, Lesson 6, write the equation of a line. How about your guided note, and let's get started. All right, so an equation of a line. We've been seeing these equations, and you're going to see a new one that's the y equals mx from plus b. And you've seen this before, all right? We're just going to look, though, how we can write these given some certain things. So you can use the slope-intercept form of a line to write an equation of any line, but only if you know the slope and the y-intercept. And that's where the line intercepts on the y-axis, all right? So where that line crosses our y. Now remember, y is going up and down, our vertical, and x is horizontal. So it's where the line crosses here, okay? Where maybe say this line, where does it cross on the y-intercept? Well, that one might be 0, but what about this one? Well, it might be like, I don't know, 2 or 3, okay? So we've got to know those things in order for us to create an equation of a line. So here's our equation, right? And we're going to write an equation when we are given the slope that we mentioned and the y-intercept. Now, slope, remember slope is how far it's rising and how far it's running, and that could be a negative slope as well. The y-intercept is where this line's going to cross along our vertical axis, okay? So here's this equation, right? Y is the actual, like, our points that were given to us. So say we have 2, 3. Remember, 2 would be x, 3 would be y, okay? But we don't know this in this problem right now. But what we do need to know is understand what m equals. So this m right here stands for our slope. In our slope equation, y equals mx plus b, m equals our slope, all right? X right here, this missing piece would be then like this 2, okay? But we're not always going to be given that, okay? But then this B right here, this is our y-intercept. So it's not necessarily the y here, right? It's the y-intercept where the line crosses through that intercept. All right? So that's what those 2 points, what M and B in the equation actually stand for, okay? So we're going to look at some boxes, okay? So we've got slope is going to be represented as M, okay? Then I have our y-intercept, and that stands as B, all right? So then you have this equation, y equals mx plus b. Right, so our next part, we're going to actually put things into those slopes and y-intercepts so then we can write an equation for our line. All right, we're going to write an equation that represents this line in our equation, still y equals mx plus b, but we're actually missing some things here, and so we've got to break it down how we're going to figure out our y-intercept, okay? So we have a line that goes through 8, 3, and we have a slope of 4. So we know right away our slope is 4, and it's a positive 4, all right? We don't know the y-intercept, therefore I can't finalize this equation, y equals mx plus b. But I'm given these 2 points, okay? So let's look at this. We have an equation that actually looks like this, and it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so we have to go look back at these points, and this 8, 3, this would be x. X1 and 3 would be y1, okay? So let's go look at this equation. Let's try to solve it, put some things in place for it. Now we don't know y, okay? But I do know y1, and that is the 3 sitting over here, okay? Equals m. We said m is our slope of 4, right? So we have that times x. Well, we don't know x, but I do know x1. And so we're going to minus, and our x1 over here, if you look back, is our 8, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and solve this. You're like, well, we have 2 variables. I know, that's okay. All right, but let's see. So we have 4x, because 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 8 be a minus 32, okay? But now we still want to get y alone. Remember, our equation is y equals mx plus b. So how do I do that? We're going to add 3 to both sides. And now I have y equals 4x. Adding 3, which is really then subtracting, would be minus 29, right? or negative 29 minus 29 is our problem. So let's look back over here. I know it's a lot of zooming in. What's our y-intercept? Well, coming back here, y is our b of our problem, and our b is the one that's hanging out, not with the x or the slope, okay? So our y-intercept is a negative 29. My equation is what I went and solved here. It's y equals mx. Well, the m is our slope of 4. Our y-intercept is a negative 29. So lots of kind of steps going on, all right? This equation, though, is going to help us solve that, okay? So that's how we find the slope of a line when we only are given slope and then 2 points. All right, now you have this on your guided notes. Not sure why I didn't go over here, but we're going to write the equation for the line that passes through the point. So we have a point of 12, 15, and then our slope, which is m, equals a negative 2/5. All right. So remember, our equation is y equals mx plus b, but I don't have b, okay? I have some x1 and y1, but I don't have anything else being shown there. So that's where I got to go back to this equation of y minus y1 equals our m times x minus x1, right? And then we got to fill in some blanks going on there. Remember, not asking to memorize this equation, all right? But knowing that you might need to use this, I'd be writing that somewhere, all right? So do we know y? We do not. So we don't know y, but I do know y1, and y1 is 15. So minus 15 equals m. We do know slope. Let's go ahead and write that. It's a negative 2/5. That's our m, represents slope. So we have a negative 2/5, and then we're going to times that by x. We don't know x, but I know x1, and that's this 12 over here. All right, minus 12. Okay, so now let's do some simplifying. And we've got, we don't do anything with the y minus 15, so we're just going to leave that alone. Now I've got a negative 2/5 x, because we multiply those parentheses, and then I've got a negative 2/5 times a negative 12. Well, let's see, negative 2/5 times a negative 12 over 1, right? Can I do any simplifying? I cannot. So it's 12 times a negative 2 would be a positive 24. 5 times 1 gives me 5, and let's go ahead and simplify that. Don't have to, but we should, because this is where it's hitting on a y-intercept, okay? So 5 goes into 24 4 times, which is 20, then 20 minus 24, I get 4/5, okay? And it's a positive because we had this negative times a negative. All right, so plus 4 4/5 gives us that. Now, I'm not done, okay? We still need to get rid of this 15, so now I have to add 15 to both sides. Now, thankfully, we're not dealing with too many negatives right there when we're adding that 15, right? So just 15 plus 4 gives me 19 4/5. And this is my final equation. I know it's a lot of writing, right? But this is my actual equation. So what is our y-intercept, though? Okay, the y-intercept is this 19 4/5. So my equation now, when I look at it, we have y equals mx. Well, m is that negative 2/5. X plus b, and b is that y-intercept we just went and found. So 19 4/5. And that is my final equation for that one. No, lots of little steps going on there. So once again, make sure you're having this equation being shown. All right, zooming and stopping when you need to on your lessons, okay, to get copied down on your notes. All right, so there's that equation. All right, now we're going to also create an equation using a graph, and this is actually probably a little more friendlier for you, okay? So we got to determine the slope and the y-intercept just from this graph and picture being shown below. So then we can write our equation. Remember, our equation is y equals mx plus b. So m is the slope. So let's start with a point on this graph. And I see right here, it goes to a -3, 0. And then it looks like it connects here as well. And then we've got another connection. So our slope, when I look at that, is up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. Remember the rise, so 1 and then over 3. And this becomes our slope, which is represented as m. So we get 1/3. Oh, my 3 is bad. 1/3 is our slope. That's not very good. I apologize for that. Okay. Then what is b? Where is this line intercepted on the y-axis? Remember, y is going up and down. Okay. Well, right away, it's intersected at 1. You're like, Mr. Kennedy, are you sure it's 1? I know there's no numbers, but it is going through that line of 1. So b, our y-intercept is 1. And that's all you have to do for y-intercept. Where does this blue line literally run through this y-intercept? And it runs through at 1. So my equation should be nice and simple. Y equals mx plus b. Well, our m is 1/3. X plus b is 1. I'm going to rewrite that so I like seeing a little better. So y equals 1/3 x plus 1. And that is my equation. That's all I have to do for graphing. A little bit easier than the last one, would you agree? So that's my equation from just looking at a graph. All right, same kind of process. Now, make sure we understand though too, I should have said on the last one that was a positive one, right? We didn't have to do any negatives. This one I can already tell it's negative, so we need to be careful with our slope, okay? So let's find some points that hit. And I see this point, and then this point, and then all the way up here too. So we're going down, looks like we're going down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3. So my slope, or m, would be a negative 1/3. All right, negative 1/3, not negative 3. Didn't go down 3 over 1, it went down 1 over 3. And then let's find b. Remember, b is where that y-intercept hits, okay? So when I zoom in, this blue line hits right here on the 2. And so that's my representation for b, is just 2. So what's my answer to this problem then? Or how do I write my equation? Just y equals m. Well, we know m is a negative 1/3. X plus b is 2. That's the equation. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to show. All right, last one for the graphs. Moving in a positive direction, it looks like. So we'll have a positive slope. And let's go find some points. So I think it hits here. It may not be completely clear, but it looks like it's hitting at these lines. These points. And when I look at those and connect them, it looks like we're going up 2 over 1 every single time. And it's moving in a positive direction. So remember, up 2 over 1 would just be simplified to a slope of 2. So our m equals 2. Okay? 2 over 1 isn't just technically mathematically correct, so keep it simplified. 1 goes into 2 times. That's where I get the 2. Okay? And then where's b? B is our y-intercept. So where does this blue line run through? Here? Down here. So it's a negative intercept, and it's negative 1, 2. So our b is a negative 2. So now let's just write our equation. Y equals m is 2, x then plus b, but now we have a negative b, so it's negative 2. If you put plus a negative 2, that's fine, but most of the time you're going to see your equations written just like this, okay? Y equals 2x minus 2. And there's your equation answer for that one. All right, it's time for you to head to your assignment. Now, you might have some of these on your assignment, so I would make sure we write down this equation, have it in your notes, that y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Just be careful that you might need to use that equation, all right? So go ahead and get on to your assignment.